What's up, Hobby Maniacs? Rob Bear here today with a look at the new White Dwarf issue 108. This issue has all the previews for the great new Tau and Ork, I guess, products. There isn't a whole lot of air quotes new stuff, but they are new offerings in different formats from Games Workshop. But before we get to all that, I would like to invite you to stay in the trenches, help keep our YouTube videos ad-free in 2016. Click on the Patreon link up on the top left and see how you can do that and lend some support and get free miniatures back in return. Check out the blog, spikybitsblog.com, and head on over to the longwar.net. That's the home of the battle reports for exclusive content, early access video, and more. Become a veteran of the Long War today. So like I was saying, really interesting kind of product mix coming out for the following week here from Games Workshop. You got some Ork stuff, you got some Tau stuff, and to be quite honest, not all of it is new. Some of it's available a certain way for the first time, but to be quite honest, it's all mostly just reboxings and about zero new content. Now, don't get me wrong, I mean, some of the ways they're kind of offering this product is really cool. For instance, you know, we'll get to some of the Tau offerings. The War Boss Gruk Boss Mob is pretty cool because you get a chance to pick up the War Boss that came with the Stormclaw box. I guess it wasn't last year, but it was the year before, 2014. This is 2016, so it was 2014. So this guy technically hasn't been in print for a while. So it's it's a good chance to pick that little guy up right there. Interestingly enough, right? Oh man, it's always the big words that get you. So there's a couple different ways to get them. This is the most easiest, bestest way. I guess it's the only way because the collector box actually has the Pain Boy in it. So this way right here will cost you, what is this? I believe it's $50 US on this, and that's where it's kind of interesting, because if you want this guy, he's basically costing you 25 bucks, because the knobs cost 25 bucks and this guy costs 25 bucks. So you know, if you split it up, now obviously that's what they're valuing it at, because it's $50 retail. These guys are 25. He's 25. I guess is the remainder, right? It doesn't. Maybe they're saying he's worth 30. Maybe they're saying he's worth 40. I don't know. But either way, basically when you do the math, he's $25 kit right there. Now, conversely, there's a great deal right here on the new Collecting Ork starter set, because if you add up the retail on all of this, you get $140, and it's only $85. So, I mean, you're saving 60 bucks right there. That's a big chunk of change down to $85, you know what I mean? And plus, a lot of folks can save more getting these on a deal at their game store or buying them online or what have you. But, I mean, it still is a solid deal. The Pain Boy's 26. The boys are 39, the knobs are 25, the Death Treb's 50, and the Amaron's just something that comes with the boys anyway, so it's no big deal there. So good deal. So bad deal, good deal, I guess. Bad deal because price-wise, but good deal because you get an exclusive figure. So you kind of see where I'm going there. Now, the only actual air quotes new content is coming in the Waz Gaskell Codex supplement, which is basically a reprint and an update up to 7th edition, but it's saying it's going to have three new formations in here. So I'm secretly optimistic, I guess, about that this will be something that's worth picking up for all the good boys and girls Ork players out there, because Orks are such a really cool looking army. There's so much different things you can do for them. It's really sad sometimes to see kind of the not love they get, I guess, you know what I mean, because they have such a dynamic range, and it's so cool to see their stuff on the tabletop. And then I mean, for most people out there, you take 7 trucks, you try to get across the board, you have 2 left. That's just a kick in the balls. That's just a rules feel bad. See, that's not even your opponent. I mean, all he's doing is shooting at them, and they just go down like a sack of potatoes. Like it's a little frustrating, I feel like. So it's a little depressing to see, but then again, it's kind of on GW at that point too. It's not kind of like the sportsmanship thing, and I'll talk a little bit more about rules as we get going here, because there is the one data slate in here that I think we need to talk about. Now, on the Tau side of things, the Coalition Command seems like a decent deal, because your Crisis Suit Commander here, the new Enforcer armor, is $50 retail. This guy, don't really know what he's quote retail for, but at $60 for the pair, that doesn't seem like a bad deal. $10 for a figure. I can't tell you the last time we got a character model for $10 from Games Workshop. It certainly wasn't this decade, that's for sure. So that's another way to pick up those two there. Now, the Farside Enclave offering is also interesting too, because what they did was they took the rules from Monka and the rules from Callion, and they kind of put them in here, and then they took the fluff from the Farsight books. Because remember, Farsight has a data sheet. He has rules in one of those 2 books. I couldn't tell you which one off the top of my head, but I guarantee you, one of them has his rules. So they kind of comboed it, and then they're kind of fluffing it up with Farsight. And it's going to be interesting to see if they still have that rule where he can't be in the same army as what's her face, Shadow-san. So because that used to be a thing, but now it might not be a thing because they kind of hugged it out there at the end. Well, not really, but in the story wise, she's just like, yo, I'm not gonna stop you, but you should probably leave now. And he's like, I respect your decision. And they just kind of like walk away into the sunset in different parts of the planet. But it was a really interesting read. I really enjoyed the fluff books there. And then, of course, they've got 2 new decal sheets coming out for these guys. Retail for $20. I don't know the exact size on these. I haven't seen them, but if I had to guess, at $20, I would say they're as big as those night ones that we've seen that are sold separately there. So then it gets into some features. Oh, and some more Black Library stuff. The Supremacy Tactical Objectives cards, which somebody said these were the Cities of Death ones. But I haven't checked that actually, but it would be interesting to see if they just like basically rebox that. I wouldn't put it past them. I mean, you know, they wouldn't do this if we didn't buy it, so you can't only say so much bad things about it, you know, like, why do they keep reboxing and keep selling us the same stuff? Well, A, hey, it's a 40K release, it's drumming up 40K interest, and also remember last week they had an Age of Sigmar release alongside the 40K release, so it looks like they're getting a little more daring in their product mix, you know what I mean? But for this one, I really don't have a lot to say. I haven't researched it, I haven't gotten them in my hot little hands yet, and to be quite honest, I don't have the Cities of Death book. That's kind of an old one for me, so I might have to look that one up and go into the archive, so to speak, and check it out there. So then it gets into some more stuff like Forge World, and I think Forge World's they got it a little twisted because this guy already came out, but then again we saw 2 weeks ago that Mastodon was coming out, and Mastodon is not out. Trust me, it's on my ready to go. Hit the button, buy now. The chip will go off in my brain, and I must buy it. A really great hobby feature in here too on a Badab War Red Scorpions army, and then they get into talking about the new Wolfen models along with the character models. And if you haven't checked out, I think it's the previous video to this one, the unboxings of these 2 and the new collector set for Space Wolves, which is also a good deal money-wise, then definitely check that out after this video finishes playing. And then you get into the paint splatter section where they're going to show you how to do some, you know, some cool looking orc stuff. And we haven't seen how to paint orcs in a while, or the Uruks for Age of Sigmar, kind of depending, because they haven't really had a paint guide on that. So I feel like this is one of the very first times that we've seen a paint splatter on the orcs, so that's really cool to see. And they give you some ideas, you know, on the, and orc skin's so cool. You can paint it so many different. You can go with different shades of green. You can go with the yellow greens. You know, it just kind of depends on what direction you want to take. And then depending on what main green you take, it kind of depends on what purples and what accents you follow up. Do you use an orange brown? Do you use, you know, maybe more of a reddish brown or something like that? With your reds, do you use a purple red or a brown red? So it all basically starts with your skin tone and kind of works out from there for your accents. And so, you know, it actually is super important what color you start with the skin on orcs, because that kind of sets the base tone. And there's a lot of different tricks you can do. Like you could just maybe airbrush the skin. When I had a bunch of orcs back in the day, that's what I did. I actually did the skin first, and then I went back and painted in all the pants and the boots and things like that. Actually, the boots I just left I left black and just did some dirt over top of them. And then Crom Dragon Gaze. Remember, these guys were in the box together back in 2014, the Stormclaw box. So here he is, his paint guide, because remember we already saw how to do the Iron Priest last week there. So really cool looking techniques and things here on the Space Wolf Power Armor, and then some of the reds here, really good looking reds, and some alternate fleshes. And I really like how their flesh goes with the orange hair highlights. So remember, that kind of all goes along with the flesh colors you're selecting with your accent colors. And then there we go, next week, black and silver. I guess a dramatic foreshadowing of the Death Watch box set that supposedly is coming out. We don't have all the details yet, but it definitely looks to be on the way and very interesting as well. And then the data sheet, no more teaser in the back. That was the only teaser, was in that paint splatter section there. So we got Gruk Face Ripper, which, like I said, I guess he's getting valued at $25 if you buy that the new Bully Boy box there. But what's really cool about him is he is actually a good character for his points. I mean, he's got the Get Ripper, which is a true strength 10 because he's toughness or strength 5 right here. So he's the true strength 10. You know, it does work. It's everything a Power Claw should be. But what's really cool is he gets the Super Wog, where they get to run. Go special rule, made charge in assault phase even if they made a run move. Now you're like, well, you know what? That's only maybe like an extra 4 inches, but it's a start, you know. And I feel like Games Workshop really has an opportunity here to do something with the Orks. Now, supposedly there's 3 new formations in here. I am, you know, I'm waiting with bated breath how good they are, because really the Orks don't need a whole lot to be good. And because, you know, and if you watch the webcast over on what is it, the 40K Long War kind of thing we do, I was talking about on there how I feel like sometimes Games Workshop needs to treat armies kind of like how, you know, like EA Sports treats a game. Like there's a multiplayer mode, there's a co-op mode, there's a campaign mode, you know what I mean? There needs to be multiple builds for armies, not just, hey, buy all these boys and put them on the table. You need to have an elite build that's competitive, you know, maybe with some knobs or things like that. You need to have your fluffy build, your campaign build, so to speak, where you're like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to play the Death Skulls, and the Death Skulls get this special trait and this special, you know, formations or whatever on the Decurion, or they can do this or they can do that, or they can take special looted things, you know, and just fun, cool stuff. And that's your campaign mode. And then your co-op mode would kind of be like a hybrid kind of thing. Like you could take an MSU list, you know, multiple scoring units along with maybe like some elite kind of heavy hitters, or you could have like different variants. Like you'd have a Speed Freaks army, you could have, you know, just a bunch of different varieties and ways to do it that would combine together, or have a nice solid core that made a good ally with another army. And that's not really something we see from every faction out there. You know, some factions are almost only set up in that co-op mode. Dark Eldar, you know what I mean, or Harlequins, and they don't really stand alone, and that's disappointing. And I think Games Workshop would sell more miniatures if they had those 3, you know, the 3 video game tenets, so to speak, to each faction's army there. So that's just, you know, that's just my 2 credits. Take it for what it's worth. You know, at the end of the day, I do not own a $160 million sales a year company, so I just know I can speak with my heart and I can go from my gut, and I got a lot of experience behind it. Definitely more experience than some of the folks that are at Games Workshop currently now, I feel like. But that being said, hey, thanks for checking out my unboxing and review, or I guess my review of the White Dwarf 108. I'm in a little bit of a hurry, I won't lie. I'm going to go see Deadpool tonight. So thanks for hanging in there with me, and everybody have a good weekend. Happy hobby.